This is a Posidonia meadow. For those who study sea life, this environment is a habitat. What does that mean? In short, we could say that the word habitat is very similar to this image. A habitat is nothing more than a place where animals, plants, and other organisms live, hence a house. And underwater meadows are, for all intents and purposes, true condominiums of the sea. Lots of residents live at this address, like her or them. This concentration of organisms makes the submerged meadows places which are particularly favored for research and the study of underwater species and their environments. In the Mediterranean Sea, there are different types of submerged meadows: Zostera marina, Halophilia stipulosia, Simodicea nodosa, Zostera nolti, and our Posidonia oceanica. The specific name doesn't do it justice. In fact, it's a species native to the Mediterranean. In short, it only lives in this sea. Despite appearances, Posidonia is not an algae, but a plant. In fact, it's similar in every way to terrestrial plants. It has roots, a trunk with rhizomes, long leaves, even as long as 1 meter, entwined in the shoots. And like all plants, it also needs light to live. First, Posidonia meadows are a place of shelter, nursery, and feeding for many plant and animal organisms. Second, it's a plant which, above all other species, is particularly sensitive to the environmental changes and pollution. This makes it a good indicator for the status and the health of our seas. And third, the meadow is a great defense against the erosion of the coastline. Monitoring this habitat allows us to understand more about the entire ecosystem. But how? Research is not an easy task. The first question to answer is where? Where are underwater meadows found? To answer these questions, we have to draw a map describing the area of the meadows, like this one. As one might imagine, habitat maps require continual updates and take patient compiling.
If you want to study the habitat of seagrass meadow or Coralligenus, you can use different techniques. If we want to use some cheaper technique, the most cheaper is always the snorkeling technique. So you can actually go into the water to take some measurement.
A researcher's equipment is varied and ranges from very simple instruments to decidedly more sophisticated gear. Monitoring techniques are also varied. Posidonia meadow can, in fact, be seen, but also heard. In the first case, techniques go from observation in situ to aerial photography. Audio techniques are based on reading the seabed via emissions and receptions of ultrasound. As in other research sectors, technology has given way to new possibilities of study. The use of ROVs and towed underwater video cameras allows for the observation of images on the screen in real time and the identification of possible changes to the habitat and many other elements of the seabed. Thanks to this georeferencing GIS software, it'll be possible to organize the information onto the map. As we said before, habitats are the homes of animals and other organisms. A study of the environment cannot only focus on its inhabitants. Here, the investigation starts with a method and a few instruments which facilitate the work.
If you want to assess the abundance and quality of seagrass meadow or Coralligenus, one of the techniques that you can actually use is the quadrat. So you go into the water and you take samples from a fixed quadrat or just a mobile quadrat. This is one of the techniques more used into the water and to assess the abundance of seagrass.
Research around a particular habitat doesn't leave anything to chance, and even that which seems of little significance can be very useful. This is the case of animal remains, small rocks, and objects on the bottom, which are the basis of the balisage technique. That is, the monitoring of the meadow lower limit through the use of permanent reference points, called balises, to trace a meadow's boundary over time. The preservation of these habitats requires multidisciplinary knowledge, as it deals with the knowledge of the mutual interactions between the environment and the organisms which live in it, also including humans and their various activities. We are talking about an overall approach to the environmental issues, which are summarized by the term ecosystem approach, meaning that is to achieve an effective and long-lasting conservation. All of the components of the ecosystem must be considered, starting from the biological and the ecological aspects, crossing economy and into policy, and up to the involvement of the citizen communities. But considering the Mediterranean, where can we start? Surely, using overall monitoring programs in order to achieve the good environmental status of the Mediterranean Sea.